come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessings, blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
You're muted. How are you? Welcome to the village. Hello, Mr. Daly.
Hello, my producer muted me and I didn't realize that he did. Yeah, he's like, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. So good evening, ladies and hey, Dr. Brian. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We were out last week. I didn't want to be, but my executive producer overrode me and he said, you need to be out, right? Because it's your birthday week and whatever. I'm in Aruba, whatever. I was willing to just sit, chill, and be involved. So welcome to the village, another week of the village, right here, the first week in February, where the village is all about the community. We're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, any point, starting from today. Success is not just spoken, it is done. So what are you doing to be successful? So, you can reach us on all of our Facebook outlet at Roderick F. Daly, Dr. Joanne Bryant, John L. Sampson, Andre Dolman. That's DOE because he's so much money. Doe man. Yes, says he's the Doe man, right?
Education man. Department of Education.
No, not Department of Education. Doe man. And then we have Sophia Willacy. That's Will A-C-Y. Willacy, Willacy, Sophia. And not the Spanish way, but the PH way, the West Indian way. So you can get us Sophia Willacy, Roger F. Daly, Joanne Bryant, John Sampson, and Andre Dolman. And also on the Village page on Facebook. And lastly, you can get us, but most importantly, on Facebook. On YouTube. But you need to like us and subscribe. Like and subscribe on YouTube at the Village Talk Show. I see some of you have already subscribed, so we appreciate that a whole lot. Dr. Bryant.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous.
I thought you were supposed to be doing fantabulous.
Oh, let me tell you. I am.
We don't know that by just because there's always the same look. We don't know when you're excited. If you're mad, that's the same look. If you're excited, it's the same look. And then
you would know if I'm mad. You would know.
No, not on the radio.
Oh, you would know.
You know how you appear in the video and you say you want to fix that? Yeah, you know how you appear? Yeah.
Appear? How appear?
Yeah, yeah.
How do I appear?
Well, you got new dreadlocks.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh? When
Something
did
different.
when did you get dreadlocks? It looks good. It looks very good.
What? 2 weeks ago?
I don't like the red glasses though. Today with the show, change it to black. Where's your black one?
Somewhere around.
Yeah, go put
Okay,
on a black one.
I'll think about it.
Tell Isaac to bring you a black one.
Isaac is not near me, so it's okay.
What about your daughter?
But he's sleeping. She's sleeping.
She's already. Dog is only 7 o'clock. What do? You put her on punishment or something?
No, my child is a sleepaholic, so it's okay.
Oh man, you girl,
Why
you
she
to be
go to
boring.
bed.
What's going on with that?
No,
She
no,
ain't
no.
watching sports, no nothing, no.
She's as tall as she is because
She sleeps too much.
hmm,
Yeah, it's time to put her in a sport. Gymnastics, swimming, something.
she
Girls
don't
hockey, basketball.
she gave up basketball. She don't want to be bothered.
Yeah, because
And
mommy.
she's good at it. That's the problem. She's good at it, but she
Yeah,
doesn't want to be bothered.
maybe you need to take. Maybe you need to take it to the park and stop playing. You stop playing.
Yeah, I've done that.
No, no, you stop playing.
I did that, done that. I
Been
even
there,
want
done
to take her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All that, all that.
it. You just,
I do.
where's the footage?
Why you need to see my footage of me
Yes,
shooting
yeah.
or blocking or doing any of that?
Look, you don't even know what they're called. Look at you.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And trust me, my
Uh-huh.
child, both of them, got on a team. So it was due to their mom being outside acting like a crazy and making sure that they position themselves
Wait,
correctly.
are you like what they call a soccer mom?
Yes, I was there. I was
No, 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 no. Soccer mom's like the crazy mom.
no, 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 no,
Let my child play.
no,
Let
no, no.
no.
I am the mom who will go to the game if they need somebody to help with the score. I'm actually doing
Oh, so
that.
you're an active mom. You're like
Yes,
the team mom.
absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes they think I talk too much, so they don't allow me to be the team dad. Although
Oh,
sometimes it's not true. I do actually know more what the hell the coach is saying,
mhm.
but they sometimes what I say they don't like when I say it because it's
You're so
like
aggressive, right? You're so aggressive with it.
no, it's not. That's not it. It's like
Yeah,
the
you are.
boys. Okay, for example, your catcher is 80 feet behind the plate. Why is he 80 feet behind the plate? He needs to move up because if he's too far back, the pitcher's trying to reach him. That means the ball is going too high or it's going to land too short. So you actually need to move the kid up so that the kid can get the strike zone, right?
Good
So those
evening.
kind of things, right? You
Yeah.
know, this week starts Black History Month as well.
Thank you, Simone, with the red glasses. All right, I'm gonna leave you.
No, no, no. I do like her red. No, no, no. Wait, Sophia and Simone. I have complimented her on her red glasses because she has funky glasses. They're kind of cool. I just feel like
I should put my green glasses on.
right something like like something because that's her. If she brought her glasses collection and put them up, you'll see she have like 10 or 15 pairs of glasses.
Mhm.
Right? Is that about right? Yeah, you have a lot of pairs.
That's true.
Right.
Brown
So she
hair.
wears a different pair with something else. I've said, okay, maybe she could bring the black pair with these glasses that she have on. Not that the glasses don't look good; they look very good. Right. So don't get me wrong when I say light smoke. She really is a crazy soccer mom. So let's see. There's so many things on the agenda, and I want to make sure we get to the relationship conversation before our guests
Ooh.
come on board. Let's see. So right. So
Bring it
one of the
on,
one of the big things is let's talk about this for a second. Did you catch any of the funeral services for Jason Rivera?
No.
Okay. So somebody sent me a video clip,
Hmm.
and I would love to have the Manhattan DA on. Maybe I could get one of the DAs on, right?
Hmm.
At the end of her, let me see if I could send Andre the clip. Let me see if it's still here. I wonder who sent it to me again. Somebody sent me the clip while I was in
Aruba.
Aruba. Yes.
Hmm.
Right.
You know, they show clips
Yeah.
on
I'm trying
TV,
to remember who sent it to me.
and it's a shame that we actually lost two young individuals due to senseless crime.
Mhm.
You know,
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Hold on. What do you say?
You have a keyword for the clip. You would type the keyword and find
I don't remember.
whatever something.
All right. So what about? But if they're okay, let me try it that way. Let me try what Andre's saying. So Jason Rivera. No, it's not coming up. Right. What are you saying? What are you saying?
I said it's a shame. It's a shame that we actually lost two young individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Also, Andre, see if you can get this clip up too.
Simone, I do agree. I love what his wife said to the DA.
I love what the wife said specifically was asking him if he's happy now, right? Because they're letting so many criminals out, right? Like, what do you? Why? It's kind of like I'm sorry, it's my conservative side, right?
But he's not the reason why they're letting out the criminals.
Who?
That's the thing. The DA.
Of
They
course,
made
it
why?
is the DA.
Why do you say that?
It is the DA, right? The DAs are saying that we're not willing to prosecute certain crimes to a certain extent, right? And we're not gonna request jail time for certain crimes because they're the one who make the request for criminal cases. Now, the governor, the mayor can the governor mayor can override certain things,
Of course.
right? But the DA is the one who made the charges. You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say it's the DA's fault, Simone. I'm not gonna go that deep, right? I'm definitely not gonna go that deep.
I think
However,
tied to
yeah,
more.
what are you saying?
I think it's tied to more. The bail reform that they created, it's just been a debacle of different process that created this action. I know he said certain crimes we're not going to take seriously, certain things, unless there's death, then he's going to hold it to a certain way. He cleaned it up a little. He tried to clean it up. Let me clear
Who's he?
myself. The DA, the Manhattan DA, he tried to clean it up in regards to when he received heat stating that certain crimes won't be punished a certain way. If you get not pulled over, if somebody pulled out a gun or whatever, and you did not get, injured or anything like that, they won't prosecute. I think overall, in trying to be politically correct and just trying to say, hey, everyone deserve a chance, we have to look at every individual case separately. Now, when innocent individuals go into to help out, especially when you're doing your job, going to help out a situation, and you actually become a victim, more than one individual become a victim, we shouldn't have to wait for someone to die in order to get the results that in order for someone to be punished.
Andre, do me a favor. Google, see if you can find his wife. Just maybe you can find his wife's speech on Google. Her eulogy of her husband. Maybe you can find it that way. Find it easier. Listen.
Oh,
Jason Rivera.
Funny.
Right? No,
Yes.
no, the BS I'm referring to. Let me tell you something. I think that they need. Okay, so here's my take on a lot of things.
Okay.
The crime and the punishment have to be of equal value.
Absolutely.
The crime and the punishment have to be of equal value.
Mm-hmm.
If you commit a major crime, right? If you commit a major crime, then you using a gun and you harm somebody else, you need to spend some time. So my thing is, for example, if you willfully take somebody's life,
Mm-hmm.
then you should spend life in prison. If you rape somebody, then you need to spend life in prison.
Mm-hmm.
If you pull a gun on somebody and cause fear for that person, you need to spend adequate time in prison. right? If you stab somebody and that person is in the hospital and suffering from that for 10 years, guess what? You need to be suffering for the same amount of time. Whatever you took away from that person, you need to spend it as well. Because that needs to, so you kill somebody and they give you 25 years. 25 years is never going to bring that person back.
That is true.
If that person is gone, now, let me be clear about this. If accidents do happen, right? Let me be clear. I'm not saying to somebody, I'm talking about purposefully doing something. That's what I'm talking about. When you willfully, knowledgeably know that you're going to harm somebody. You automatically, if you kill somebody, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. And you know what? You should be in solitary confinement because you shouldn't be around people, because you shouldn't be using a gun to kill anybody, especially for what you consider great things. So you should get the same penalty. You shouldn't see the light of day. I think that should even, I mean, it sounds bad, this cruel and unusual punishment, but damn, give you a breakfast, lunch, or dinner through what do you call it, through the hole. Give you food like that. Forget it.
Yeah, that is rough. That's kind of rough what you're talking about.
But I'm dead. So how do you bring that life back?
You can't.
Right? Somebody kills somebody personal to you? No. I don't even think death was good enough for that person that killed the two cops. I don't even think death. Yeah, he's dead, but I don't think death. I think torture probably would be a better statement. Not to mention it was a domestic violence. That means I didn't read the whole case, but
what happened to him? We didn't hear anything.
He died. He got shot and killed. He was killed.
Oh no, I know he was in a hospital. I didn't know
he was killed. Yeah, he was killed. He did not. He and the second officer died on the same day.
Oh. Okay.
Right. So that's part of my rant about that. And so with that being said, I'm going to say something else controversial right now.
Oh boy.
I don't think they should do away complete with stop and frisk.
Do away with it?
I don't think they should have completely do away with it. Crime is getting out of hand right now.
Yeah. You know what? I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
Right? Crime is getting out of hand. I understand that. I understand that it's a racial bias. I get it. But when you look at who is committing the murders, who's committing the major crimes, it's us. People who look like you and me. It sounds bad in my statement, but if you disagree with me out there, do say something. But we are committing the crimes. I'm not saying that other races are not committing crimes, but we on a whole, right? We on a whole are killing people. We're killing people like there's no tomorrow. Look at it. What was that? The two teenagers at King's Plaza, right?
That, and then look at the young rapper that just signed a deal and got murdered the same day he signed a deal.
And that's crazy. I mean, this is ridiculous. I am all for First Amendment rights, so I do support gun rights. Right? Don't get confused. I do support gun rights. Right? I agree. But when you have a gun, the legal way, when you get a gun the legal way, it is supposed to be able to be tracked. Right? If you do it legally, it's supposed to be able to be tracked. So and you get training. Right? You're supposed to get training with the usage and non-usage of a gun. Right? So Andre, Simone just sent me the clip on WhatsApp. All right, so let me check, Simone.
Thank you, Simone.
All right. So I do believe in legal guns, but I don't This is just crazy. So I don't know. I don't think they should do it with stop and frisk. It's too liberal, and people sometimes they don't know how to handle this amount of freedom.
Okay.
So to be very honest with you, crime was not this bad under neither Bloomberg nor Giuliani. They did other things that were crappy. But
so who are you saying that crime started under? Are you saying this? Oh, okay, your friend.
Crime was crazy under Koch in the 80s.
Okay.
If you're in the United States, under the Democrats, to be very honest with you, under the Democrats, crime is out of hand.
And in between that, we had who else? Before Giuliani.
We had the Republican.
Before Giuliani.
Yeah, Dinkins.
Exactly.
But I'm saying under the Democrats. So you had crime was the worst from about 85, right, through 91, 92.
Okay.
It was terrible. Giuliani came in, and I gotta give unto Caesar what's due unto Caesar. Right? Giuliani came in and he cleaned up a lot of those areas. His fight on crime, drugs went down. People felt safe in the 90s. In the 90s was one of the safest decade in a long time. And in 2000, from 2000 to 2010, New York was very safe. Now it's not safe outside.
Why do you think?
Because I think I mean I like Bill de Blasio. I think he was very good on other things, but he was very bad on crime. He was horrible on crime. He was too far left. All these different doggone rules on
No, he was too focused on putting up these cameras.
Yes, he was too focused. There you go.
Cameras and also all these bike lanes.
The speed cameras and bike lanes and all that necessary important things, but
what he needed to focus on.
He needed to focus on public safety. I don't care about the bike lanes. I care about feeling safe. I want to know that I'm sending my kids out and I'm not worried about whether or not they can get gunned down. Or whether or not my kids are going to get introduced
to crime,
to violence. Because your children, my children, are the one committing the crime. Right? Your children, my children are the ones who are committing the crimes. So I'm not excluding.
I'm not agreeing with that. I'm not agreeing with that.
Listen. So who's doing it? Your kids. When I say your kids, my kid.
I know what you're. But I'm not grouping my kids on that category.
No.
I'm not grouping my kids.
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying somebody's children.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. When I say your kid, my kid, somebody's children is coming in, and they might not start off knowing about this level of violence until they're introduced to it on a free, willy-nilly way. That's what I'm talking about. Because you have two young kids. They're going to school. They can get introduced to it and commit an act. God forbid. Right? I already told my children.
Get some vibes, man.
Right? I already told my children that I ain't visiting none of y'all in jail.
Oh, shut up, Rudy.
Right? Never. Hey, you're on the air, man. Don't let someone correct you again. Yeah. Welcome, John. Welcome, John.
Can I get some volume here?
I can hear you. Just pull the mic closer to you.
I can't hear myself speak.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. First of all, say welcome, dog. You late bird.
Unfortunately, I apologize for being late this evening. Trying to take care of a few things. But welcome to the.
You know he's lying, right? When he said that, right? Trying to take care of a few things. You know he's lying.
Give me a break. Hey, Dr. Brian.
Hey.
Hey, Rudy Mel. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
God
The
bless
big 5-0. The big 5-0.
Big 5-0, man. But now let's get to business now.
We're talking about the gun situation and stop and frisk.
Well, you know what? It is out of control. It is out of control.
That wasn't me. Simone. That was John.
Simone, it is out of control. Kings Plaza, you got one guy who shoots a 19-year-old shoots a 14-year-old in the leg, and the 19-year-old was out on bail, got out 2 months ago for possessing a couple of firearms. Then he has the audacity to go to Kings Plaza and shoot somebody. So Simone, what should we do with an individual like that? Oh, we let him go. Let him go. We let him go. Bail reform. And you know what? He shoots a 14-year. It could have been far worse what happened in Kings. God knows what could have happened. Enough is enough, villagers. The gun violence. And we have nobody to blame but ourselves because these young black men, women, minorities are engaging in this gun violence. And they are creating such a hysteria in the community that they're not on Fifth Avenue. They're not on Park Avenue. They're over here in East Flatbush.
Yep.
They're Tremont section in the Bronx. They're Washington Heights. Hold on. A young man, 22 years old, and aspiring rapper just signed
the
contract.
In Canarsie.
In Canarsie at 2:20 p.m. in the afternoon on Avenue L. Shot and killed.
You know
what? Hold on, man. I ain't finished.
Oh no, I was just gonna answer.
Simone.
Go ahead. No. I was. Go ahead. You do you. Go ahead.
You know what? I agree. If your child is innocent, of course you're going to visit him. But there's no but, because I understand that. That's a love of a mother. A love of a mother can never be questioned, and I will never question that. However, we need to be a woke society and realize that criminal justice is impacting our communities, and the majority of it is done by us, people of color. So let's wait. Hold on, John. Wait. No.
I want you. No. Hold on. I want you to repeat that, right? We have to repeat that statement because that's all I was saying. I'm going back to stop. You didn't hear when I said that, but you said exactly what I just said, and I just wanted to repeat it because we didn't even talk about it before.
And you know what? Everybody wants we want to be measured in our approach, but these guys are not measured in their approach when they try to carjack you and shoot you.
Let me tell you, that's happening in Pennsylvania. A lot in Philadelphia. People getting carjacked, constantly walking to their house or whatever.
By whom? That's where the problem comes in. Who's it committed by?
Minorities.
No. I don't want you to say minorities. I want to say what it is. They're committed by blacks and Latinos. Not all, right? It's not 100% crimes committed by blacks and Latino, right? Which is what John is saying, what I am saying. So what are we going to do about it? First of all,
and everybody talks, the first thing you talk about when you are addicted to drugs or you're addicted to alcohol, the first thing that you have to understand is that I am an addict.
Yep.
Once I can admit that to myself, then I'm ready for the next stage. We have to admit in our community that the bulk of crimes that are being committed in our communities are people of color. Once we establish that, we understand that, let's move on. What measures can we put in place to prevent these young men and women from going down that avenue, not picking up, just getting involved into criminal activity? Villagers, there's so many other components that need to come together so we can do this. This is a holistic approach. It is not one approach. You can't be heavy-handed with enforcement. At the same time, you need to be heavy-handed in making sure you put those resources in the community. Like the president today, what did the president do? He went to the police. He went to Police Plaza, spoke to the police officers. And then after that meeting, he went out to Queens. We had organizations as Exodus and other organizations who are violence interrupters and speak to them. How can you help us keep the level of violence down? This is a holistic approach. And we have to admit it that we do have problems. Let's get past our problems. Let's start interacting. Let's provide opportunities for these young Black men, Hispanic women. Let's give them let's give them hope, because a lot of them have lost hope, And what's interesting is I work with a lot of individuals who have been justice impact. I have a young brother. He spent 41 years in prison, and he will tell these young kids, man, there's consequences for your actions. Think about these consequences. Think about the consequences before you act.
John, I want to disagree with you a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
No. A lot of things that you're saying, I agree with.
Okay.
But I disagree with one thing. that person who spent 41 years didn't think before they acted. Right?
Of course.
Right. And so sometimes what I'm saying is that 19-year-old, one thing, I just said something to my wife, right? I said, you know what? I want to take life insurance out on my kids. Okay? I want to take, she looked at me like, are you crazy? Why you want to take life insurance out on the kids?
I have life insurance on my kids.
Right? No, hold on. Most of us don't. And why do you think the first thing that came to mind when I said life insurance on the kids?
What was the first thing?
Why you need life insurance on the kids?
Mm.
The thing with young people is that they don't know that life's turns are bad and unknown. Right. So when they come into crime at 19, they know they might get 25 years, but they do the math.
Right.
I'm getting out at 44. I'm getting out at this age, whatever. So, all my boys who are in there.
Rudy.
Wait, hold on. All my boys that were in there say, yo, prison ain't no joke. I mean, not that it ain't no joke. Oh, you could handle that. You're good for that.
Rudy.
Yeah. But but they don't know the truth though, John. That's the problem.
That's the problem. When they say that, they don't understand. Because anybody who has done 25 years in prison, they will tell you it's something that is not comprehensible.
Yeah.
It is something that it is just words cannot express the importance of freedom.
They have no idea, dog.
They have no idea what freedom means.
Mm.
Until when you stand before and you get sentenced by that judge, and that judge says you got 25 to life because you're doing a minimum of 25 years at 19 years old. And it's about that 10-year mark when they realize, damn, I really screwed up. And the best example, let me tell you something. You know what the best example is? Those 3 white men in Atlanta, Georgia, that killed Aubrey.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them killed Aubrey, the one who was involved in the videotaping, whatever it is. They are saying to themselves, what the hell did we do, or what was I thinking of?
Mm.
I'm going to die in prison. That's one. I'm going to literally die in prison.
Mm.
I will never see freedom again. And it's that point of time when that realization hits you, you come to the conclusion that my action have consequences, and I did not pause and think before I acted.
I want to add to what you said in regards to the guy who shot up King's Plaza. They let him go, but what monitoring was being done? So that's where monitoring, we can do bail reform, we can do all of that, but what is the next step? Who is following these people? Who are they responding to? No.
Wait, hold on. I just want to ask you a question, right?
Go ahead.
As you continue your statement, right? Hey, Richard, how you doing? And also up top, Richard. Also, I just want to go back to something that you said, Simone, so you could just type that in. You said about the history comment. So you can go back to that. I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Bail reform for what? See, that's the most important conversation, because they did bail reform for the 19-year-old, and he went and he shot the 16 and the 14-year-old. That was bail reform. So
yeah, but they let him go, and he had issues already with gun. So what is wrong with that problem? He had issues with gun. You let him go on bail reform. No one's monitoring this young man. No one's supporting him. And then he go back and do the same thing because there's no consequence. So You know, the system, of course, we keep saying the system is broken, is broken, is broken, but it starts with, if we're going to put, like when Jamani was on, they mention all these great policies, but who is following up with the policies? No one. No one is making sure that things are
Gotcha,
in
Delroy.
place. So, you know, who's to blame now?
Who's to blame? Hey, Doc, you know what? Who's to, Delroy, what's your point, Delroy?
Just read the post.
Delroy, what? Just want to repost what I posted on Facebook today concerning this topic. When these two individuals shot at a passenger, quotations police, driving the car, they didn't shoot at a police car. They shot at a civilian. They have no regards for who they were trying to kill. Adams said, the chief of police, Kenneth Corey, said, these officers being fired at and did not shoot back. Both suspects were arrested. These are very pointed statements. Eric's statements means the community. I really don't understand Delroy because it's kind of convoluted. But bottom line is they had no business pulling out the gun, shooting anybody. Right. Bottom line, these are 19-year-old kids. You know, there's no excuses at all. They shouldn't have a gun in their possession. Period! Exclamation point. We have to stop making excuses for young people when you pick up that gun. You understand all the consequences that follow from picking up that gun. That's why, you know what? When I was in the legislature, I always pushed for a piece of legislation to call mandatory minimum of 10 years for anybody in possession of a firearm. Because the firearm that the individual uses not only impacts that victim, but the victim's families.
Yep.
And the trauma
and that family
that
too.
the family has to deal with for the rest of their life.
I want to address something just a little bit off topic. I'm just going to address your topic, Simone. Whether we want to agree or not, we're living in times. I don't agree with that statement.
I don't agree either, Simone. We're not living in
I believe that the world, and I say this all the time,
Babylon is not coming yet.
Right.
Babylon's not here yet.
I believe that the world is cyclical, and this is our end time, right? So the next generation will have their own end time, right? So, like, for example, in 1918, when you had the Spanish flu, right? That was an argument that it was the end time. 2000, right? 2000, when the
ladies and gentlemen, we got our producer here. He was to join us,
right?
Andre, come join us,
right?
Man.
So you have that history. When you had the Civil War in 1861 to 1865, it was the end time. So every time that you go through history, right? We all live in what I call these things from a religious perspective is trials and tribulations. And that's something that we all go through all generations. This is your trial, this is your tribulation. But we won't be around, probably not, or we hope not to be around when the next trial and tribulation comes about. You talk the bubonic plague, you talk about the Crusades that killed millions of people. And all of these things are viewed as end times. So no one can predict end time, right? No one knows the time nor the hour. So when somebody says to me the end time, I'm like, how do you know? There's nothing that's different about the violence, the great flood during Noah, Noah during Noah's time. So, you know, that's where my belief is. Anyway, you know, Bloomberg remember Plaxico Burress?
Yes.
Like he lost his job because Bloomberg had put into place the automatic mandatory sentences for person with a gun, and he had a gun and went off at the nightclub a few years back.
I think I understood.
Hold on, let me see. Let me see what didn't the Bible say the hearts of people would become desperately wicked? Yeah, yes, Simone, I agree. I mean, I don't want to make it a whole biblical conversation about what the Bible says because the Bible is infallible. What I'm saying is that wicked men is not just this time, right? You can't tell me Adolf Hitler wasn't a wicked man. right? You can't tell me that
Hold on, hold on. Don't be
You
careful.
gotta be careful. Exactly.
Careful now. I don't want to be whoopee now. Get
I
suspended.
know.
We
Oh,
don't want
my
to suspend
God.
you. Be
Yes.
careful.
that Adolf
Be
Hitler.
careful. Yeah, be careful at the Holocaust now. Be careful.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. You can't tell me he was. You're putting people in
I'm
concentration camps.
I'm not saying that. Just be careful when you
How
talk
you say it?
about our
When you
Jewish
say it, yeah.
brothers and
No.
sisters in the
Hear
Holocaust.
what I said.
You have to be mindful.
No. Hear what I said.
That was a dark period in history.
Right. What I'm saying is that nobody can tell me that he wasn't wicked for putting all those people in concentration camps. That's crazy.
Okay.
And by the way, it wasn't just Jews. I mean, Jews are the primary persons that were there, but there are other people that were in the camp that weren't blonde hair and blue eyes, with the primary target being Jews.
No. The primary target was my brother, but my brothers and sisters from the Jewish community.
Yes, that's the primary target.
That was the
Absolutely.
primary target.
Right, absolutely. And then we talk about Napoleon in 1812 when he tried to conquer the world and kill millions of people. Right? That we talk about from the 1800s. The slavery. Right? Slavery.
But you know what?
But not to be, I don't want to go biblical, but
I don't want you to
we
go
also got to know
biblical,
our history too as well.
I just want to just chime in on this. What do y'all think about that whole controversy with Whoopi Goldberg?
Oh, actually, I don't know it. What's
I know we're jumping this.
Because she apologized.
Exactly,
that the
Simone.
Holocaust,
That's exactly correct.
That the Holocaust wasn't about race, and which she was wrong. The Holocaust was about the elimination of a race, and that race was the Jewish community.
That's a very interesting statement.
You need to back down because you're gonna get suspended.
I'm not gonna get
suspended.
No. Wait. Sometimes when somebody's speaking, what you see, this is what, and I love the Jews for this. I gotta say, my brothers from another faith, the Jews, I love them for this. In a Jewish community, you cannot work on a Saturday.
Yes.
You can't do nothing.
Sabbath.
Right? It's a Sabbath. But if you're a Christian on a Sunday, they don't care. They'll work and send workers on Sundays. What I love, and I love this about my Jewish brothers. Why? Because they stand for something, and anything you say, no matter the context of how you say it, they're gonna go at it. So maybe what Whoopi Goldberg was saying might have been correct, but I don't know. I don't know what the statement was.
It was not.
I'm not agreeing with the statement or disagreeing with the statement.
So if you don't know, you don't need to say that the statement was correct.
This is what I'm saying. It's whether or not the statement had a point or not.
The statement was totally off base, because how can the Holocaust not be about race?
It was
Ain't no but.
Wait.
None of that.
No, it wasn't about race. The Holocaust was about race.
Oh God.
It was not. The Holocaust was about blame. Right? I need to find somebody, just like with slavery.
All right, hold
on. Let me finish my statement, because I don't want to pause in the middle of my statement. Somebody take my statement and go run with it and make it wrong. The Holocaust wasn't about race. Race is black, white, Chinese. That's race. The Holocaust was about religion and suppression, right? And try to create a system, just like slavery. They didn't. The majority of the slaves, right?
The Aryan race,
right?
The Jewish,
right?
The Jews are inferior to the Aryan race.
So if the Jews,
same thing about slavery.
Wait.
Slavery. Hold on.
Wait, John. Hold on. Slavery was far more about race than the Holocaust.
You can't. No. You can't compare the two.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. Let me finish my statement. Everybody, don't jump on me yet. Let me finish my statement.
Lord have mercy.
Lord have His mercy upon His soul.
As a black man, right? As a black man living in the 1800s in the United States, and you went south, right? As a black man, you had to show that you're a free man, not to be enslaved. And even then, right, you were still kind of enslaved, right? However, and I'm definitely not saying that everybody should have done that, right? It's definitely not what I'm saying. Hold on. If a Jew who was blonde hair and blue eye, right, and they didn't know that they were a Jew, okay, they could pass and go forward. Wait, a black person, wait, hold on. A black person cannot pass.
That's not true.
The race. No, I'm not asking. I'm telling you, the black man could not pass. Now,
no, I disagree.
Nobody. I want to be clear.
Rudy,
I'm done after this point. I'm done after this point.
Doc, let me make his point.
Right?
Then get him.
At the end of the day, no one, not even me, in my right mind, would say it was okay or anything about it is okay in the Holocaust. Let's just be clear about that. Right? But the Holocaust, he was looking for a way to gain power.
Same thing.
And it was looking for a blame. With slavery, it was about race and doing something.
It was about power, money. It was about all of that.
Germany was hitting a rough time in 1936 when he got elected. Right? It was hitting a rough time. And they wanted to blame somebody to do it. Right?
Free labor.
Not the Jews. He was killing them. That's not free labor. Slavery was free labor. Slavery was free labor.
Also the Jews, free labor.
Exactly. Hey,
Miss Wanless, how you doing?
Hey, Kim. I agree. So I just want to be clear. I'm not agreeing with Whoopi.
But she admitted she was wrong. She could come out and say, you know what, I was wrong.
You know what? Maybe she. You know what? Let me tell you something. Wait. You know why she might be wrong though, Joanne? Green might be why she was wrong.
Let me tell you something. No.
You don't think so?
Whoopi Goldberg is a principled individual. It's not about money with Whoopi. She's very principled and she'll stick to her convictions. She knew she was wrong. She acknowledged she was wrong.
All right. So what did Delroy say?
Delroy, you are correct.
Mr. Daly, just type
the Holocaust was not about race. It was about culture, religion. Judaism is not a race. Being Jewish is not a national. Delroy, you are wrong. Delroy, you are wrong. It was about race.
Okay.
It was about a superior race.
Wait. Oh my God.
The Aryan nation?
The Aryan nation was a superior race.
It was still about, that's white people. And they were killing whites.
No, they were killing Jewish people.
Jewish whites. And they killed black people too.
Based upon their race.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, I can somewhat hear the argument. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what, the Ku Klux Klan killed everybody. So I guess.
Well, you know what?
I guess some.
I want to pivot to something that is very serious. And
what's that? Our president coming to New York?
No, man's inhumanity to man includes genocide and slavery. Yes, that I agree with 100%. Teresa, right? Please have a subject on this because it goes deeper than this. Because in the beginning, we were cursed in the beginning with Adam and Eve. It's passed down the generation with crime and rape and killing. What do you mean by Teresa? Explain a little bit more. Maybe you want to call in and talk about
Teresa, my cousin Teresa is talking about the Genesis. The Adam and Eve. What precipitated us to go down that avenue and everything else that was involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The man and the woman, the eating of the poisonous fruit.
Yes.
And what evolved after that.
So what are you trying to say? Women are evil?
No, I did not say women are evil.
I
did not say that. That's you saying that. It's not me. Ladies and gentlemen, it was not me. It was Mr. Daly. Women are evil.
That a man was an idiot and didn't follow. If God gave you directive.
So women are evil and men are idiots.
Wait. Right? God gave you directive.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
He didn't give it to her. He gave it to you. You're not the male. So guess
what? That. Yeah, did you hear Dr. Brian? So that brings us to the topic of relationship. Right. That brings us to the topic. Oh, Simone. Not Simone, Sophia. You're gonna do it? All right, go ahead. So this month starts, right? This month starts Black History Month as well. I hate it, right? Because again, it's
Yes,
shortest
it's
month they give
shortest,
for Black
yes.
History. So I
But
hate
we
that part.
celebrate
But
it all the time.
you know, it is Black History, and our president has said. And I want to, after Andre comes on, I want to ask the question about the idea. Do you think what some of the Republicans are saying that is that you play music, right? Is that the Republicans? What the Republicans are saying that is what do they call it? A status quo. What is that word that call it? Hitting the quota, something affirmative action. That they're calling affirmative action by saying he's gonna select a black woman.
Yo, don't get me started on that.
No, we're gonna do that as soon as he does the Black History. You want us to have a? Oh, okay. Our producers keep going on the topic. So, what do you think about that? Do you think it's affirmative action?
Let me tell you something. You know what? What pisses me off is why do we need to explain? Why does the president need to explain why he has made the choice to pick a woman of color, a black woman, to be the next Supreme Court justice? There's no need. Okay, Andre tells me. Let me.
Andre told.
This is something that pisses me the hell off.
You ready? Tell me when you're ready. Huh? You gotta remove the hood and do. They're all gonna see you. You're doing it. Get on the air, man. Yo, what is wrong with you? Go ahead, do you?
All right, hello everybody.
Can't hear you.
So, one of the very important Black history figures we ought to know about is Louis Latimer. All right, Louis Latimer was born in 1848 to 19 and passed away in 1928. Now, one of the things that we always use on a daily basis is the light bulb. Right? He worked with Thomas Edison in part of his elite team, and the filament in the light bulb is what makes the light last so long. That was a result of Louis Latimer. Right? He also helped make electric lighting practical and affordable for the average household. And one of the last thing is that famous inventor who also worked with Alexander Graham Bell. Right, so that's a figure in Black history. All right, that's important and should know about Louis Latimer. All right, back to the show.
All right, so John, you were talking about that pissed you off.
Yeah, you know what pissed me off is everybody's trying to explaining why the president has chosen to pick a woman of color to be the next Supreme Court jurist. There's no explanation needed. Was there an explanation by President Trump when he said, I want to appoint a woman as the next Supreme Court judge? Has there been any? Look at the track record. How many women of color have even been in the running for a Supreme Court seat? I think zero. So just because, and for Ted Cruz of all, not even Ted Cruz, he's
an idiot.
He's an idiot. He's an idiot. But for all of them to say, well, especially this new administrator from Georgetown Law School saying that it makes them makes less of black women. Are you kidding me? We
might start to need to have an idiot list, John.
It's taken this long for a woman of color to even be considered to become a judge on the Supreme Court. This is 2021. So there's no need for explanation. I don't need to explain why. And the president doesn't need to explain why. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it done. And it's over with. There's no room for explanation whatsoever.
So
Democrats got to stop apologizing for what they are doing. Republicans just do it. They don't care about the consequences because their point is it's about the consolidation of power. Stay in power, I can make the rules. The Democrats are just too worried about what Democrats are. They are so ethical and so moral. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? What I fear of the most, I fear those liberal Democrats and those Democrats that are to the far left. They are far worse for our communities than Republicans are. And yes, I said it. I'm a Democrat, but the policies that they want to implement, they basically paralyze our communities, and we are nothing but crabs in a barrel instead of coming together cohesively on issues that really impact our communities. So that's my point on this whole thing. I will not explain why I am nominating a woman of color to become the next Supreme Court judge. No explanation needed. That's what I'm doing. It's over with.
You know, so let's say, what is this? The United States officially 1776 again its independence. 1881, I believe, was the first president with George Washington, right? So 1881 to 1889, he served as president. Then John Adams served one term, and then Thomas Jefferson. Moving down to history to our presidents, and now we're in what, number 45, right? 46, right? Thurgood Marshall became so from 1781 to 1967. I don't know how many years that is, but that sounds close to like almost 200 years. Almost, not quite 200.
It was Kennedy who put.
No, it was Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Right. So LBJ put in the first black person. Let me go back through history. 1781, the United States had its first president. In 1967 was the first time that a black man was made on the Supreme Court with Thurgood Marshall. And for those of you who know the history, Thurgood Marshall was the one that brought Brown v. Wade and the Board of Brown versus the Board of Education. That whole constitutional about that, to separate but equal. Just a little history. In 1989,
then we got Clarence Thomas.
Right. You got Clarence Thomas placed in under
insult.
Right. Yeah, it was placed. Insult or not, I'm just saying historical. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying historically. Right. So you had Thurgood Marshall, you have Clarence Thomas, and then you have Sotomayor. Those are the only three in the history of the United States people of color who have served on the Supreme Court. We had one Asian, right? I think was it Alito? I don't remember his name, but so we had one Asian person. Blacks have been here since approximately 1603. So if you do the math from 1603 to 2003, that's 200. That's 400 years. Since the inception of the United States is 1781 to 1981, that's 200 years. And then we up to what, 41 more years after that? And people are telling me some damn stupid crap that is affirmative action. Are you kidding me? You're out of your mind. It can't be affirmative action. I agree with the Republican senator who said the Supreme Court should be representative of the country. And we can't be here that long. And then that's when I talk about racism. If you're saying that it's a problem to put a black woman and its affirmative action into power, that makes no sense. And not to mention, it's all fine and dandy, like John said. And look how quickly they pushed that woman through.
30 days.
Right? Look how quickly they pushed that woman through. And they rejected Obama's push. Right? But now it's the hypocrite.
But now Garland is the U.S. attorney.
Right? So when you're leaving us, yeah, we'll see you back at 9:15. You're gonna miss our guest today, but have fun at Bible study. Make sure you say a prayer for all of us. All right. Let me just see if we can answer this question. All I want to know is why they choose the shortest month of the year for Black History. That's what I say too. Yeah, Andre's giving us the historical perspective.
You know what? I don't get caught up in that.
I do.
I don't get caught up in that because every day we are making history. Every day. So I don't get caught up there. That you get caught up in the subterfuge. I'm not getting caught up in the dictum. I am seeing that every day is Black history. We have the first woman ever, Black woman, police commissioner of New York City.
You know, like,
That's black history.
And
you
woman
know what's funny?
president.
And what? And what?
Woman president. You
And-
know, when he was underneath the knife, guess what? Few minutes, few seconds, it doesn't matter. She
Hour
was-
and change.
Yeah.
I have a few police officer friends who are not happy with her.
So what?
Why not?
I'm going to tell you exactly why.
Why? Tell me why.
She made a comment about she visited when the situation happened when the Queens officer got shot. I believe
Right.
officer in Queens last year was shot, and apparently she went to go visit the families of both the victim and the I think when there's a nightclub shooting, I think it was a nightclub shooting where the cop went to the nightclub and they tried to steal the chain.
Right.
On the off-duty cop. I don't know if you
Yes.
guys remember. Yeah.
Right.
So they were like, why would she go and visit the perp that shot the cop? So they were
Listen,
like,
no matter what, people are gonna be upset no matter what.
what I said to a couple of my cops friends, it was very simple. I said, yeah, you know what? I hear your point, but it's not like he visited the victim. She visited the family, because whenever crime happens, people don't understand. Everybody in your family might not know that the person, they don't. If I am not home, if the child is not doing the crime in the house, right? If the child is not doing the crime in the house, you ever had a friend who committed a crime and you didn't even know they were coming? I had a friend who shot somebody who's my good friend, never didn't even know he walked with a gun.
No.
Sometimes the family don't know that the person is doing certain things.
All right, true.
So they're hurt too. They don't know what to do, because they can't even. That family can't even apologize to the cop, which is what kind of like, what do you say to that cop in apology? Nothing. But you're hurting too, and you're ashamed of what your family member did. So I told him I didn't see a problem with it, but they were like, they're
not going to be happy at many things. Change is something that is taking a different approach in handling a situation or handling things. Like you said, it takes more than just the way we've been going, and using a different approach might help solve some problems. So that's all.
Yeah, that's I agree, but I applaud the president to going back to that, to appoint the person. The other thing, John, somebody who served in office with you, Adam Sheldon Silver.
Yeah,
he died a couple of weeks ago. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. So he had died in I didn't know that he was still in federal custody when he died.
In prison, baby.
He died in prison.
Yeah, that's what he told the judge. He said, I hope he doesn't die in prison. He sentenced me, and he died in prison.
Yes, so that was very
it's sad.
Yeah, just sad.
Because
right.
At the end of the day, in life, you're going to do things where, positive or negative, we make mistakes, we go through things, but your legacy shouldn't be just looking at the mistakes and things that you do.
Well, Doc, that's just the culture we are in. We always say we're a forgiving society, but we're not forgiving.
No, we're not.
We're not forgiving at all.
It's funny. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, when you say you forgive, you must also say you forget.
Well, you don't have to forget. You can forgive, but you don't have to forget, just so you won't repeat the same cycle.
When I say forget, nobody forgets anything.
Yeah.
When I say forget, when I'm saying forget in my case is if I forgive you for doing something, I need to put it to the side. It might be a teachable moment, but I can't forgive you and bring it back up.
With the same individual. Absolutely can't do that. But you could safeguard yourself not to go through the same situation.
Exactly. And also when I forgive you, you understand that I've forgiven you. So if you do that crap again, we're gonna have a problem. Right? So that's what it means. Forgive, forget, don't do it again. That kind
like Adam forgot what God said, right?
Huh? Yeah, exactly. Andre, you ready, Andre, to play the video? All right, so let us know.
But Roderick, I just love when you bring back it's the woman's fault. It's the
I
woman's
know.
fault.
We're going to talk about relationship. We're going to do that. Well, hopefully, that's what we're supposed to talk about today. A lot.
Lord help me.
No, Andre, do me a favor. Since you're there and the video's not coming, this is a video for Jason Rivera at the wake. Listen, I have a question for you. Could you do me a favor? Pull up the top 10 reasons why people get divorced, and I want to know the top 10 reasons. Because
who you asking that to the audience?
I'm asking Andre.
Oh, okay. Top 10 reasons.
I'm asking Andre. What are the top 10 reasons why people get divorced?
Foolishness. That's number one. Foolishness. Lack of patience. You keep saying,
yo, who the hell cares, man? What's going on? Who the hell cares?
What do you mean by who cares? People need to know.
People will need to know who the hell cares, man.
Huh?
Who the hell cares? What is this?
Because I want because no, not reality TV. The reason why I want to bring it up, right? The reason why I want to bring it up because you said that we're going to talk about it's the new year, right? The new year. We weren't able to do it. And one of the things is we're going to look at what makes relationship work or don't work, right? So a lot of us are looking into having a relationship, and
3 words.
What's that?
Lady. That's it. Yes, my lady.
No, that's
yes,
not
my
right.
lady.
Lack of money.
No, so
yes,
one thing that hold on.
Say that again, John.
Yes, my lady.
That doesn't work.
There you
that
go.
Doesn't work. That actually does not work. When you say
it does work.
It does not work. It really doesn't work. Say yes.
Wait.
Doesn't work.
Wait.
Yes.
When your wife.
Yes, my
no.
dear.
If no.
That? My
okay.
God.
So did you get it?
My God.
Dude, just Google reasons for divorce.
Let me tell you something. Men that are unhappy, they will go down in the basement and watch TV.
There you go.
videos.
Not necessarily.
But women, when they're not happy,
they don't stop.
Man,
you're gonna hear about it.
Has no fury.
Woo! So
say,
are you ready for me?
Yes.
Okay. So number one, couples stop loving each other. All right, you're not there yet because you're not in a relationship. Stop loving. A spouse being bad with money. So that's the first conversation about money.
Wait. What was number one?
Couples
stop loving each other. They fall out of love. But you have to be in a relationship for you to fall out of love, right?
Wait. Repeat what you said. You have to be in a relationship to fall out of love.
Yes.
If you're married and you're getting divorced, I agree. But I'm talking about relationship building, right? So I guess if you want to look at that, is a couple has to look at what it is that got them together to fall in love in the first place and revisit that area. But number one on the list is being bad with money. A lot of times you find women, especially women, right? Especially women. Wait.
I'm just telling my experience. That's
your experience,
right?
And I can tell my experience.
I'm saying I'm telling you, you have especially women who believe that the man. I'm a woman. I make $35,000 a year. I make $40,000 a year. I make $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. In order for me, I'm gonna go to find a lawyer or a doctor who makes $200,000 a year. So what really are you offering to that doctor?
But wait, you have men who do the same thing.
No, I'm not. I said primarily.
But we got no. Nowadays, we have a whole section of guys who decide, hey, we're going to, chill out on the females who's making 70, 100.
But where does that come from? So please. So the point of what I'm saying is when you look at finances, whether it's a male or female, you want to make sure that you find somebody on even yoke. Okay, the person have to be on even yoke. You can't have whether it's a man like Joanne is saying, or whether it's a woman like I just said. It can't be that you're making this much money and you want somebody who makes that much money. So a lot of times, unfortunately, and I'm going to say this because this is what I come across, right? A lot of people believe that I don't know how to put it properly, but you think like your schlong or your fee is going to make you good enough to earn that money. And it's not. You have to provide more than just sex. Right? So when you're going into a relationship, and you need to start, I think I was watching something, John, a few years ago with Creflo Dollar, where
he's awesome with that.
Where he said, and I agree with him, you need to ask questions. What are your finances like? You live in your mother's basement. Where are we going to live when we get married? How much money you make? What job do you do? How long have you had your job? Right? Do you go from job to job? Are you unemployed? Are you on welfare? Those are real questions. And so sometimes you look at somebody, right? You look at somebody.
Yes, I agree.
Right? So finances is because, and then you also have people who are bad spenders. They're show-offs, like some of the guys I hang out with. They want to go buy a whole bottle of whiskey or Hennessy, and their rent wasn't paid. Are you serious?
I'm not saying anything.
No, I'm just talking about, do you agree that money can be...
Andre got that big soup too.
Yeah, Andre has the chicken.
Big soup.
The chicken. No, John, cut it out. I have a question though. No, seriously, what do you think when it comes to finances and relationship? Do you think that's an important topic?
Let me tell you, the answer is...
Don't say yes, ma'am.
Here, honey. Take care of the finances.
No, actually, I do that. I do that.
Just give me some pocket change.
But it works.
Thank you very much.
No, in my house, it works. I give my wife my check. She gives me an allowance. I keep it moving.
Oh, that key word that you just used. That for me, it's a pet peeve. The word allowance.
You call whatever you want. I
have a problem with that. I do.
What, allowance?
Yes, I do.
Oh, please. I'm like, my wife pays the bills. All I do is this is what I do though. I monitor, right? I do monitor. I look around.
I remember there was a conversation I had with the individual years ago, and they mentioned, if we were,
Andre?
Where's my soup?
And he mentioned, I believe his mindset was, hey, I take care of all the money. I do everything, and I'll give you an allowance. I'm like, wait, allowance? What? Am I a child? So that I have a problem with, because for me, as an independent female, you're not going to tell me you're going to give me allowance and what I can and cannot do.
I did not. I would not say. I said,
you can't. My wife doesn't tell me what to do with my money.
The woman says, please just give me the allowance. I'm not telling the woman that I'm giving her allowance. I will keep my mouth shut, open my hands, whatever she gives me, I'm happy, and just go along my merry business.
Thank you. Because, all I have to is like, my wife is very good. She's
right, Monet, when people get married too young and learn their partner later.
Yes. Like they rush into whatever it is that they're doing. Right?
Yeah, like saying the word allowance. That's like
allowance. Okay, so you don't like the word?
No, I don't.
But it's okay.
It's more control for me, and that's the problem.
Yeah, you should see what Andre is doing here. I can't even do it under here.
Instead of allowance, why don't we can you donate to my fund?
What? Or you could decide. You can look at the bills and review. Like some people just believe, in a relationship, you pay all of the bills, or I'm just going to pay this. In my household, right? In my household, while I have less financial issues, I have other issues, but money's not one of them. Right?
Yo, can you lend me some dollars?
Right? No, that's not what I meant by that. What it is what I'm saying is, we have this how much money we make in the house. This is my percentage of make. This is your percentage of make. This is the bills. You're paying that percentage. I'm paying that percentage. I don't expect my wife to pay more than she can afford, and my wife doesn't expect for me to pay more than I can
As
afford.
I said again, honey.
Yeah, that doesn't always work too because I have to have savings. All right, so our guest is here, so we're gonna go back to the next topic because John and Joanne can't take this topic seriously. So let's get our guest on. Andre, bring our guest in. I'm not listening to you. You don't want to take our topics. You stuck in allowance.
You are full of it.
So you don't take financing. I'm sorry, Brian.
Keep me out of it. I'm with John.
See again. So all the men except for Andre believe the same thing. Andre believes that he needs to handle the money. Right.
Listen. I let the bank handle it, right? So we have a personal account, we have a joint account. We put a portion into the joint account. The joint account pays the bills, and we keep our play money on the side. I think John calls it allowance. Some call it donations, but I think there's a way to work it out where you have a set amount, like you said, that goes towards household expenses.
That's what
I've been doing this for 10 years now. 10 years married, so I'm trying.
Joanne is like allowance. You call it whatever you want. But this is the money that I need to spend. Anyway, Brian,
let's call it individual fund. Individual fund.
Yeah, how about that, Joanne? You like the better? Individual fund.
I'm not winning this one.
Yo, she's like, you crazy.
As I said before, give me some couple of change. That's all I do.
All right, this is 15 years of marriage, so I'm just telling people, we have other arguments, but ain't money. I'm just telling you, money is the number one. I'm trying to avoid number 1, 2, and 3.
You keep saying money, but it's not money that was the number one thing that you read.
Money is number one.
No, what did you read as number one? Falling out of love.
Loving each other. That's not number one.
That's number one.
Oh, it's not number one. Number one,
Mr. Brian.
All right, never mind. Oh boy, could you put them in order, please, so she stop killing.
So Brian, how you doing,
Brian? How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing? You sound like you having
we're having an argument on air.
No, it's not a robust conversation. You got to change your language. Come on, you said 15 years of marriage. You know how that goes. It's a robust conversation.
He didn't learn. Oh.
And yes, dear. Okay. See. Now he put it in order. What's number one now? Just going back. Spouse being bad with money.
Go right back to the same thing.
I'm just telling you. Number one, bad with money.
Brian, how are you?
All right. So, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself. I just want to be right.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm a criminal justice organizer, so I work on two things. One, making sure the criminal justice system is fair and equitable, but also making sure communities are safe. I think that's a conversation we're having right now. How do we balance both things? I think we're seeing that play out in the media quite a bit in some of the conversations, but I'm an overall community guy. Done work in housing, done work in criminal justice, done work with youth services, and end of the day, it's just about serving people for me.
Love it. You said balance. What do you mean by balance? Can you elaborate?
Absolutely. I think, when you look at most data from police data specifically, more than 50% of the calls that police officers get aren't actually violent crimes, right? But we focus so much on the violent offenses. I think we ought to make sure that part of the job is not responded to by police, but at the same time, when there are violent offenses that take place in communities, that you have police respond to that.
Similar to if a police respond to someone who has mental illness,
it's a different response. Yeah, it's a totally different response, right? And I think part of what we saw, play out over the years is that sometimes police do respond because they're trained to respond in a particular way, right? And if you're dealing with someone who's mentally ill, and it's also sometimes the 911 calls. If you listen to some of the calls and some of the things that are said on these calls, obviously, if you say that a mentally ill person's walking around swinging a stick in a community or pointing something that looks like a gun in a community, a police is going to respond with appropriate force for that kind of thing. But so I think it's a little bit of both.
We've been seeing opposite on that. I'm sorry.
I mean, happy to disagree.
Yeah, because a couple of incidents where parents call for help for kids, adults with mental, who are mentally ill, and instead of helping, they actually shoot up and kill the individual. It recently happened last year and a couple, several times. So now people are afraid to call the police when it comes to mental illness.
Yeah.
because
You
they're
know,
afraid that the reaction is going to be death or the result is going to be death.
Doc, I
well, I
would
always,
disagree with you. I would disagree with you and Doc because those what we call, if you look at it, there are outliers when you consider the number of calls that police officers receive that deal with mental health issues.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you're talking about they deal with on a daily basis in which no one is shot or killed.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think those are out. Those are outliers.
And
yeah,
and just to add to that, I know Brian, I'm give you a couple of seconds there, but
yeah,
in rebuttal as well, the media, there's no sensationalization, that word, that big word that I can't pronounce right now.
Sensationalism.
Yeah, with saving a life,
yep, yep,
right? It's more with taking a life. So when the police
yeah,
officer does something that takes a life, it's front and center, because
yeah,
especially with BLM or whatever the situation is not really, it doesn't talk about the fact, you don't hear every day. I hate bringing up these negative cases because it stirs up negative feelings, but you don't hear about, I'm not calling any names for that reason, but you
yeah.
don't hear about these cases every day.
Damn, Andre, that soup is that good?
We should put the camera on Andre.
What are you drinking? Some goat head soup?
No,
He got pigeon pea. He got he got
chicken foot soup.
no, not chicken
Chicken
foot.
foot soup.
It's chicken foot.
That's not chicken foot.
It is chicken foot.
That's red pea soup.
It's red peas with chicken foot.
Red pea soup.
What is the meat in there, Andre?
Lord have mercy.
Yeah,
You're talking about criminal justice and you're talking about chicken feet soup.
'Cause-
Come on.
Damn it, Andre's making us hungry here.
Yes.
Shit, you might need those chicken feet to kill.
You're on the air, John. and so, with the criminal justice, Brian.
Hey, Brian, man, Brian. I want to get to the root of this. The criminal justice, this whole thing, the impact, the criminal justice, the system, but these guns with these young people on the streets, continued proliferation of killings, shootings. When are we going to actually acknowledge that we are the root cause of this, and what can we do to stem the tide? I get tired of reading about young minority kids being shot, killed, and maimed in these streets every single day.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, right? So part of the work that I've done is we've done work with the Cure Violence model, which obviously looks at individuals who've been on both sides of the gun, both who've created harm and both who are trying to help stem some of that harm. They're using their stories and lending that credibility to young people who are at the highest risk, right? These aren't the kids who you think are the highest risk, but these are the kids in the trap houses, kids that are really deep, knee deep, and they're saying to them, look, if you don't stop what you're doing, here are your options, right? And it's 6 feet under or in a 6x6 cell, right? And that program, when we fund those programs properly, there are only 21 cure violence sites in the city of New York, but we have more police precincts in the city of New York, right? So what we did with SOS when I was there for the 3 years was we did that, like the interruption work, but we also did the wraparound services, right? So giving young people a space after school to go to. We know that most things happen between 3 and 6 p.m. when parents aren't home, right? You can't, when you get on the train at 5 and the train gets slowed down at Borough Hall or wherever in the city, you don't get home till 7 o'clock. Your kid has been home for 4 hours running up and down the street, getting influence. So we tried to do youth services. And on top of that, I think to Dr. Bryant's point, we're also focused on the mental health components, right? Because particularly in Black and brown communities, there's a stigma when you say I'm doing therapy. As a Black man, I go to therapy, right? I need my therapy. My wife has encouraged that. That's not something that I've always done or thought was a cool thing to do. But I realize that it teaches me my triggers and my de-escalations and how to operate and function where I don't go on the far end of the spectrum.
Can you? I love that statement he just made. This is my thing where I ask somebody to repeat, because you said it, but I don't know that our audience are really fully understand with that statement. What's one of the primary reasons you just stated why you go to therapy?
I go in so I can learn about myself, my de-escalation techniques, things that trigger me, and how to de-escalate my own internal voices and my own internal conflicts.
Because we all have that, and if you don't have de-escalation techniques, because most of us don't, like I have to learn that when I was in education, in for the most part, through other things that I had to do, and I know Dr. Brian had to learn some de-escalation stuff as well, and learn about me, and I began to do that, and we as people of color have to begin the process and stop saying to ourselves that, the statement that we make, if he's just a bad kid, or the second one is, oh, he's just a kid, he'll grow out of it. That's not true. Those things are absolutely not true. They don't grow out of it, because I have a statement that I normally make: stupid kids grow up to be stupid adults.
And if you see a child choking another one, he's not going to grow out of choking other people. That means it is something that he actually witnessed, more than likely, or can't control their anger overall to go to that extreme.
That's
Jeffrey
why
Canada
sometimes
writes
they talk about gateway drugs. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Canada has a great book that says, I think it's called Fist, Rocks, Scissors, Knife, Gun, right? And it talks about the fact that if you don't have access to the gun, you'll use a knife. If you don't have a knife, you'll use a rock. If you don't have a rock, you use your fist. Like, if we don't get to the root cause of what's creating this behavior, gun violence is just is the manifestation of a deeper problem, right? It's not the problem. The problem is what's going on inside that individual and how they respond to trauma. So I know for me, when I feel my head getting too full and there's too much going on in my mind, I have to get away and walk for a little bit. Because if I don't, I get short-tempered, and then short-tempered means I start yelling. So for me, I have to like check myself and check in with myself and kind of figure out like what's happening inside of me. Oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Let me get away from this assignment. Let me get away from work, let me get away from family, and go for a walk. You got to know your triggers. If you don't know your triggers, you're going to be triggered, and you're not sure how your triggers may trigger someone else, right? And then that becomes a compounding event when two people who don't know their triggers are now triggered and in a conflict.
That's a great point. Like, for example, road rage.
Yeah, you stop somebody on the road, you don't know what's going to happen. Like you get out the car, you have no idea what that person's going through for the day. So you might have gotten out the car out of your trigger response, but now that person gets out, and guess what? They may have an unregistered gun. And I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that you can't Brian, control someone's outfit.
Did you see there was a video of a guy in it was in Texas or Florida, shooting a gun. Road rage. The passenger, the driver in the other car came next to him. This guy pulled out his firearm and was shooting through his window. Yeah, his rolled up windows. Crazy. At the other car.
And driving too. That's
he threw a bottle at the guy's car, and the guy pulled out a 9mm or 40 and shot through his own glass
while staring the car. That's super skills, man. Super skills.
Super skills, but also super dangerous.
I mean, he was reckless. He was firing all over the place. He was firing all over the place.
Did he get arrested?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And again, this is what we talk about, right? So we talk about.
He was. I think it was on his own cam. It was his own camera that was taping him.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're talking about, right? We gotta hold people accountable for their actions, right? So there are people who need a timeout from the community, but at the same time, we know that the criminal justice system, John, you know this better than a lot of us, has some practices in the penal laws that are unfair, right, and racially motivated and biased, and we have to reform those parts of it, right?
I have a question for you. I have a question. We were talking about this earlier. What is your thought on stop and frisk? But what you have seen,
stop them, frisk them, take your guns off them. That's the motto. Stop.
That's John's motto. It ain't ours.
That's John's motto, right? I think stop and frisk obviously is a tool, right? It's a tool in the toolkit that police have used. It was used disproportionately. Studies have showed that. But my mentor, Senator Parker, used to say this thing that when you're a hammer, everything looks like
Brother
a nail.
Kev,
right? So you have one. Yeah, Brother Kev, my mentor, gave me my first job in politics, my first real job in life, pretty much. But he always had this analogy that if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So So if stop and frisk is the only tool police have, it's going to be disproportionately used. So again, it is a tool that can be used when police find reasonable, that's the word. But it was, overused in our communities. It affected a lot of young people, but obviously not having the tool, right? We went too far on the other end of the spectrum as well, where now people are walking around and folks don't know who's has a loaded, unregistered, unlicensed, illegal firearm. So we have to be able to balance.
That is what is so scary.
Yeah,
I refuse to argue with anybody. I just refuse to engage with anyone, because you never know if this person is carrying a firearm.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I tell young people, I rather retreat because there's tomorrow. There's
run away and live to fight another day.
There's so many people that choose to engage and they never see tomorrow. So sometimes
John, it's so true. I mean, I was on a train one day on the Q or the Q or the B train heading downtown, pick up some groceries, and literally I made eye contact with a guy. I'm looking at my phone, and my wife said to me, "This guy looks like our nephew." So I roll up my eyes. I look at him for a second. John, when I said I got cussed out, stink man, with my wife on the train, he cussed out me, cussed out my wife, he cussed out my whole generation. And the inner person in me wanted to respond. Thankfully, the next stop was my stop. But I had again to use those techniques of, I'm gonna argue with this guy that I don't know about something that really didn't happen. That's playing out in his mind and might not live to tell a story tomorrow. So retreating, as you mentioned, in that circumstance was the best course of option. Now, some may look at that and go, "Man, you a punk," and that's okay. This is a live punk that can live to tell a story about it. It's an embarrassing story, but it's a real story that happens to so many of our young black and brown boys.
It's a real story,
but it's not
you
embarrassing.
can say something. The whole point is this. And one thing you noticed amongst people, they always talk about respect.
Yeah.
They always, you disrespecting me. You got to show me a level of respect. And at times, to diffuse a situation, sometimes you say, "Excuse me, I apologize. There's no issue. Just go along my merry way." Because there are some people who are just triggered and are just waiting for the appropriate moment to engage in some sort of act that could be detrimental to you as an individual. So sometimes it is not sometimes, most of the time, what? There's no need to engage, because we have seen it over this. It's very interesting. If you know how the story is going to end,
you change the
why
script.
you change the script.
Yeah.
Why
I mean,
down
I
that
think
way?
I think the current man Eric has some things right in terms of mindfulness meditation in classrooms, starting those practices early for young people, because again, those aren't things that are taught generally, right? It's not. I'm a first generation American. My mother came from Jamaica. There was no mindfulness or meditation. They did the best what they had with what they had, right? And it's up to this generation to kind of say, look, we know better. We're going to do different. We got to include some of these stuff in the curriculum and make sure that it's a part of the school day and normalized.
Mm-hmm. We have to begin, like Joanne, Dr. Bryant always talk about in terms of mental health. A lot of these people that we see, in that statement, when you talk about the situation with the subway, right? A lot of pushing and throwing onto the tracks are happening, and you don't know. Like I saw one video, the two guys are fighting. I don't know if it's true or staged or not, but the two guys are fighting. I don't know if you saw that video. And a guy dropped into the thing, and he himself had to turn around and grab the guy and saved his life, right? Yeah. But we don't know what people are doing or carrying. I remember when I was in school, the child was on the subway, and he had beef in school, and then he went on the subway, and somebody else had beef with him, and and they went and they were going at it, and this came to the school as well in the subway. So you have a lot issues that John we were talking about with the young people, and I'm glad you brought up that book. What you can find. I was thinking about marijuana being the gateway drug, as well, and I'm just thinking about knowing what to do for public safety and providing equity within our community. And I'm glad that you've been doing some work, amazing work, in trying to bring light and bring shed light, not bring light, but shed light on things that are happening through the criminal justice system. And one of them, and Joanne didn't say it, but one of them is about the Ertz Pier situation, which connect with the police, the trigger happy to concern about. So I know that you've been working with that family. I think the family is supposed to be on sometime soon as well. So tell us a little bit, what is your experience like with that?
It happened, I think it's about a year since it happened or so, right?
No,
maybe 2 years now?
December 23rd.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate situation, again, where someone that was clearly exhibiting some mental health challenges publicly. And unfortunately, this is one of those moments where there wasn't a police force or a police response that was more forceful than the actual threat. Again, I think Senator Sampson said earlier, police deal with an enormous amount of things on a daily basis, going from saving a cat to even the officers. I think someone mentioned it last week. The officers who were killed the day right after that call where those officers were killed, there were other cops running to the same kind of situations that same day, knowing that their life could also have a fatal ending. So giving a lot of respect to police officers and dangerous work they do. But obviously, yes, there are, and we want to be sensitive to that. But we obviously know that when a few years ago, I had this great idea that we should probably have a mental health unit in the police department. They are often 911. Unfortunately, is the number that people call when there's danger, when they see something. It's never 311. It's not other numbers. We can create a whole new call system. But the reality is most calls are going to go to 911. And if we can have a section of the police that are trained specifically on how to handle mental health, I think that would go a long way. We have traffic cops who deal with traffic stuff, or we can have mental health cops that deal specifically with mental health. And it means just repurposing and reimagining how we look at public safety. Public safety is not just a police response, but it's how we keep each other safe in the community.
I love what you said, but the problem with that, I'm looking at it. The problem, if I call, hey, I noticed a crazy person or whatever, I might not even say a crazy person or whatever. I noticed
crazy person.
No. I know, wrong terminology. I noticed someone acting irate or something.
Having mental issues or mental breakdown.
Yes.
But I think it's just that to what this conversation is right now, right? I think it's also retraining our communities on how to communicate what they're seeing. Right. Yes. Their eyes sometimes do not communicate what their mouth is saying. So when you call and you say there is X or Y, understand that there's an operator on the end who's receiving that information and dispatching that information to police who are receiving that information. So again, not taking the onus off of police. You have to be able to observe a situation and respond appropriately. But at the same time, when you're getting information that comes in that sometimes mimics some of the language that, my mother's Jamaican, they would say a madman is out there, right? So you would hear language like that would then would mean certain things to certain people, and there would be a response proportional. So I think we need to retrain ourselves, retrain our language, break down the stigma of mental health.
Babylon is here. Babylon is here.
Yes.
So so whoever would pick up the call would know how to dispatch. But if you're just calling or whatever, so there's so many different layers to that as well.
Absolutely.
And what approach?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Like I said, this is a very complicated issue, right? Because there's a history that precedes this conversation with communities of color and law enforcement, and there are real feelings on both sides of the spectrum and how policing has come to be and how it's evolved. But there is a real conversation that needs to happen about how do we reform the parts of the system that are not working, and how do we continue to move forward with an approach that's going to keep people safe in communities. That is the thing that we want. Black and brown people, white people, we all want to be in communities and be safe. We want the same response from police when they show up in our communities. And we also want to be mindful ourselves on how we're showing up in the world and the kind of therapy we're taking so that we can not be triggered by some of the things that trigger us.
It's like, Rudy just triggered Andre when he went to use the phone.
With the red pea soup. With the red pea soup.
Yeah. Red chicken foot.
One of my cousins would call it, so I had to answer. yeah, so I
I got
apologize
it.
for that. I want you and I were talking, Brian.
I
And
think we apologize. I just want to make sure. Do we send out condolences to?
oh yeah, I will, but I'll do that. Well, you know what? I'll do it now. Do it now.
Yeah.
So that was Congresswoman Yvette Clark that was calling. So I just really took that call. She's going through a tough time right now. She lost her life,
significant other,
her a life partner.
Significant other.
I like to call life partner because that's what she calls her.
Life partner.
Right. And so with Charles Durham, so Congresswoman, I just want to extend our condolences, me personally, and also that of the village. And I know John and Joanne and Brian, Andre, and the whole village family.
And Sophia.
And Sophia. We all extend our condolences to her. She is on Facebook, so you can really just send her a message of showing appreciation for that. So, again, our condolences to her and her family as they go through this tough time. She just asked for some privacy, so we also have to respect that as well. But I'm sure a note is always appreciated as well. So our condolences. I did remember, but thank you for bringing that up. Sorry, Brian, for doing that.
I did text her earlier yesterday to express my condolences as well. Obviously, that is a really, really tough space to be in. I can't imagine, and wish her and her family all the best as they reflect on the memories and the good times and continue to hold those things close to their hearts.
Yeah, and sometimes people think that when you're elected or in certain positions you don't have feelings, but you actually have more so than others because you have a lot of things that you go up and down in the community and all that good stuff. There was a question I wanted to ask because you and I were talking about that earlier, and the question is around a registry, right? A mental health registry. So and I would love to see something spearheaded about that, where the police officers and families have a mental health registry, especially someone who has attempted suicide, as in the case of Erd, who had what I read. I don't know how much of it, how much more, how much less, or if others were controlled, and only know if those two with the attempted to jump out of the building and stabbing himself in the stomach. There might have been more. And again, when he was in my school, we missed it as well. He was a happy-go-lucky kid, and somebody was reminding me that so at the end of the day, what is your thought on a mental health registry within a precinct? And so the idea that I was looking at is to say, bring, when you have certain, especially severe cases and violent cases, because this is a violent case, right? Like it or not, it is somewhat relatively violent because he had a knife, right? And violence against himself, right? To have that registry go to the precinct so some of those other persons can deal and speak to them.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, and the need for registries and how sometimes registries have gone too far as well, right? We have to really define and understand the scope of it. I think we see some of this even with we used the example earlier about the sex offender registry and how sometimes people who are listed on that sex offender registry, probably to most folks, we hear the details of the case, not the headlines of the case, but the footnotes of the case. You would probably say that wasn't someone who deserved to be on the registry of a sexual offender. But certainly we need to find some scope that fits that, where it doesn't violate people's rights, but also gives police some insight when they're going into situations. For instance, again, bringing up the shooting from last week, if you look at this person's rap sheet, when a police call was called, had they known that this person who shot the cops also used a firearm or attempted firearm on police out of state, that would have been helpful information for the police to know going into that situation. So I think the more information we could use through data, helping police understand the scope in which they're about to get in, would probably help change the way they engage with a person. So definitely, I definitely would support something with that has a scope that is narrow and not wide, but something that does highlight someone's mental health background that may pose a danger to themselves or others.
Well, that's if they're willing to share. That's the only problem, because there's still a stigma in the community that people don't want to say that they have mental illness, or their family don't want to admit unless something happens. And unfortunately, it's usually when something happens later on that they admit, hey, you know what? Yeah, they did have, they were on such and such medication. They didn't take their medication, or they should have went to a doctor, but they didn't. So that's the unfortunate thing about that. It's more about perception. It's more about, I don't want people to judge me. So once we could get that stigma out, then that can change.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, we all have to acknowledge, I think, on some levels that we all have trauma and some level of mental health challenges, right?
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that is taking the stigma out of it, right? We all admit that there's something about all of our minds, whether it be Black living in America or being a Black woman in America, that has created some kind of trauma that we have a mental health deficit on. We all can say, I can say I have a mental health issue. There are spectrums of mental health, right? And we have to figure out like what those spectrums are, where those spectrums might lend itself to someone creating more harm for themselves or harm for others. And I think that's what it's just reframing our language and being inclusive in our language so that folks don't feel like they're out there on an island by themselves.
Jerome wrote something. I can't put it up.
I saw it. I love it. I love it. No, I mean, you think my wife and I joke about this all the time, right? But you have folks in the 1960s and before who are going through like some of the most oppressive treatment. But they're singing about love and happiness, right? It's just like, I think sometimes what we feed our spirits and we feed our ears actually project out as well. So I think there is a piece of that what you feed yourself, you become. There's a saying that says that if you look at the 5 closest people to you, you'll probably mirror their income, their temperament, their vocabulary, everything. So we have to look at what we're feeding ourselves as well, which is why I want to hang out with guys like y'all, because y'all got way more money than me. So y'all are my new 5 closest friends.
No, that's John. John has way more money.
Exactly. I want to be in John's bracket.
Your pockets are empty.
That's because you had an allowance.
He's Jamaican, right?
He gets an allowance. That's why.
Yeah. We all get allowance, you know.
Not Dr. Bryant. She doesn't get.
No, she doesn't. So that's that. But the other question I want to ask is about housing. We currently have a housing and rent crisis going on.
True that.
Where people can't afford. It's funny. I literally just having this conversation with somebody about how ridiculous these prices are, right? Mm-hmm. So anything that's been done to prepare for that.
Yeah, I mean, so that I would say let's break this into 4 sections, right? Because it's not simple, it's complicated. Obviously, the eviction moratorium shouldn't have ended. My mother has a saying as well: prevention is better than cure. So to keep someone housed is better than to try to now create supportive housing and shelters and all those things. So we definitely shouldn't have allowed the eviction moratorium to expire. I think that's been on week 2 now. The second piece is, when we talk about affordable housing, we have to really look at 421A, what it was designed to do. And 421A is a tax abatement given to developers to create affordable housing. You take a unit of 100 units in the building, the developer has to create 20% affordability, and 80% of those units, 80 of those units can be market price. And that market price is driven by a thing called the average and medium income. People always use the term AMI, which is something that my wife always tells me not to say because people don't know what AMI is. But the average medium income in New York specifically covers not just the community you live in, but it covers all 5 boroughs, Westchester, Long Island. Yes. And as we know, the incomes in those communities are much higher than communities like Flatbush and East Flatbush and Crown Heights, and you name the neighborhood in Brooklyn. So one of the things that I've always been in favor of was a thing called CMI, which is community medium income, looking at the income of the community and adjusting it to that rate. I think that's really important. I think we have to get it with 421A because it's given a tax abatement for 25 years to developers. And what does that do for people who own homes in the community? Your taxes go up. right? Because they have to get the tax revenue from somewhere. We have a $217 billion budget, which is the third largest budget in the country that we pass every year in the state legislature, or the state legislature passes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to figure out like how to get those tax dollars in so we can pour those monies into communities where they're needed. But we can't be giving developers a shortcut and giving them 25 years of not paying those taxes. It has an impact on homeowners. It has an impact on the quality of housing we're getting in our communities. And it also has an impact on our schools and how our schools are funded, which I think is probably really important to underscore, that tax dollars from property tax goes into public schools. So you look at communities with all these developments that are going up, with all these abatements, and the schools are the most rundown, with the rundown textbooks, no iPads, no high-speed internet, no infrastructure, no support for teachers. And the last thing I'll say is, obviously, we keep making the statement that I agree with, but I disagree with in Black and brown communities. People can't afford these places. We see new neighbors coming into communities all the time. The question is a question of equity and whether or not people who are Black and brown are being paid equitably to live in the communities that they live in. Right. So that's a whole nother spin. But we got to begin to talk about that as well. We know that Black women get paid far less than Black men and white men. And for me, as a Black man with a Black wife, that I take offense to that, because that means you shortchanging my household income. So now my allowance just went down, right? I gotta bring Dave Chappelle and wrap that back in for y'all. My allowance keeps going down. So we have to make sure that we really deal with this question of equity and making sure that people are paid equitably. We have to deal with 421A. We have to do more prevention downstream. And then we have to obviously make sure that this 421A thing finally gets exploded.
I do have a problem with the eviction moratorium.
Yep.
My problem with it is, I have to pay my mortgage.
I get it. No, right? And that's the other part of the argument. So let's talk about that too, because I think when we look at the Good Cause Act that's before the state legislature right now and the eviction moratorium, it doesn't consider, to your point, smaller landlords who still have a mortgage and cannot afford for their tenant not to pay, because that means adversely they won't have the money to pay. And also like smaller landlords who can't, on a good cause eviction side, deal with a 3% hike, because when the boiler goes out, inflation's gone up, the cost has gone up, the repairs are going to be much more. So there are elements of the bill that are not perfect. I get it. But certainly we know that anyone who experiences homelessness, particularly street homelessness, is then susceptible to other mental health issues, which is the original topic, right? And once we have folks in the street and we start looking like we can't walk in the subways and on our street corners without seeing our former
right in
neighbors
the head, Brian.
Unhoused, we got a bigger problem.
It's a holistic approach to this.
It's a holistic approach, yeah.
That's true. That is true.
But I agree, and I want to get on your level and own some property and have some tenants too. But again, we're talking about these smaller landlords versus big landlords.
It's funny. I got the tax things back. How much my property is worth, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to say property, right, John? You heard what I said, property. I didn't
property.
Say I didn't say property. Right? You need to stop, right? I said property, right? And they appraised the value of my home significantly, right? And it looks good on paper.
Yeah, your taxes went up.
So my taxes are going up.
But
my parents won't pay rent.
So
what am I supposed to do? My property just went up. I think my property increased value, I'll say between last year and this year, about 10%. However, my rent ain't coming in.
Yep.
So my property taxes just went up. I still got to pay my mortgage, and my property tax went up, and I ain't getting no rent. What do you say to that person?
So it's funny, during the height of the pandemic and right in 2020, we should have been really looking at models like what was happening in Europe. What Europe did was a lot of the legislators in Europe allowed funding from the government to go directly to landlords to help offset it. So it wasn't cancel rent. It was keeping the banks afloat by making sure that small landlords got their money. That money was then paying the banks, and the economies didn't collapse as much as the U.S. economy. So we have to begin to look globally as well. We live in a global economy now. We can't just zero in on what's happening here in the States or what's happening in America. We have to look at global solutions for what's a global pandemic and a global problem. So, but couldn't agree with you more that small landlords obviously can't continue to bear the burden of not having rent. Some of these laws are more projected at larger landlords and people with properties, not property. But obviously, a lot of times folks get wrapped in that, and we got to figure out how to differentiate language and make sure that language matters, particularly these bills that we're not looking at. I always say legislators ought to be looking at the footnotes and not the headlines. Oftentimes, they're focused on the poll numbers, putting their fingers out and looking at the headlines, not reading the footnotes. These bills are
Brian,
super
say
thick.
that again.
Yeah, no, they definitely need to be stopped looking at those headlines and look at the footnotes, because when you look at the footnotes and you look at the concentration of these bills are much deeper than a legislator didn't want to do X, Y, and Z.
All right, hold on a second. I think Jerome is having Andre, can you pull up some of Jerome's comment? I think they're geared towards you. Go ahead. If you look at, okay, so this talking about everything that you have been talking about. So let's just read his comments. He had a few. So go ahead, Joanne. You go ahead and read them.
If you look at the old slave ships, how they were built, the PJs, what happened on a slave ship when black people are on top of each other's madness?
Okay. Talking about the housing situation. All right. The next one. On top of each. Okay. Next.
We are not meant to live on top of each other. It's about putting us in shambles. Do you feel you're middle class or a low class? Or high class? Yes, the way you title it makes a difference.
Jerome, I would say that I'm a child of God. I'm a child of the King. And he has given me the opportunity to be somebody. I'm low class, middle class, whatever it is. It's the opportunity that God has given you, and you take advantage of the opportunity. Everybody talks about luck. Luck is opportunity and preparation. That's what luck is.
Meet each other.
And Marissa writes that it's a holistic approach. I agree in both you and Brian. I don't know if I'm not quick to answer you, Jerome, because I'm not sure what you mean by, are you asking us a direct question, or are you saying that plays a role when you say, do you feel that your middle class or low class or high class plays a role in something? So if you can just...
Well, I think the first part of what he said, though, there's some substance in terms of the the density in New York and how we build, right? We build on top of each other. And communities, when you look at like old culture, communities weren't built stacked like that. They were built spread out. But I think New York has literally run out of space. And again, I think the supply and demand is driving some of this stuff. There's a lot of vacant units in New York too. When you look at some of these buildings that have gone up, there's a lot of vacancies, a lot of foreign investors who purchase homes and it's vacant. So there's some substance there in terms of how our built environment is and how we need to think about urban planning and think about. I have a book back here called The Power Broker, talking about Robert Mosley and how cities were designed. So we really have to look at how our cities designed and know that city designs will change over time, right? It starts off with small one-family houses. They turn to four smaller buildings. They turn to super buildings. We have to think about how we're setting up our urban environment and figure out what kind of society we want to be.
Yeah. The redistricting is coming out based upon the census, and it shows that there's a decline in the last 20 years of people in New York, which I find to be very interesting. That there's a decline, but there's a housing crisis, right? But for me, I don't think there's a housing crisis. I think there's an affordability crisis. Right.
Yeah, and there's also a census crisis, right? In terms of how we fill out the census, right? So if you live in the suburbs in Middle America, or places where there are homes, and a piece of mail comes to your door, you're likely to fill it out. If you live in a building where sometimes there are people who live together, like people's living situations are very different. So there may be one person on the lease, but it doesn't mean that's one person or one household represented in that household. So I can see a decline in population based off of, data is the kind of thing where garbage in, garbage out. And I think sometimes the antiquated way of how we look at the census is probably playing into that. I do also believe that people are moving to, like, I know people who moved to Philadelphia and New Jersey and travel into the city because, look, for what they're going to pay for mortgage versus rent in New York City with equity and their property taxes not flying up 500% like yours is. I think a lot of people will bite at that, particularly if they want to create generational wealth and legacy for their family.
Right. Yeah, I saw I saw the tax bill. One of my tax bill was like, I looked at it. I was like, yo, this is what
Some of the mortgage.
Like,
Long Island?
No. The mortgage. No. The tax.
Mhm.
And I'm saying your taxes are like a second mortgage.
I was like,
Mhm.
you were no. The tax was if you took minimum wage and do 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
You still couldn't pay.
How do you do it? How do you do it? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are some major issues. Brian, is actually a pleasure talking to you. I mean, we should spend more time conversing on some of these issues, because these are real issues. The mental health component, the housing crisis, and police work. So
violence is an important element too. So big up to you in regards to the work.
Big up, man.
Well, big up to those guys on the streets right now at 902, doing the hard work. Honestly, that's who makes the work.
Yeah, and that's true. But it's also, don't forget, it's like people like you behind the scenes, and this guy to my left who's working with individuals to make sure that things are happening. And Dr. Brian worked with them in a young age in the classroom, trying to help, to try to help steer away from what is happening. So, it's a pleasure having you on The Village. Looking forward to having you on again.
Yes,
I won't be a stranger.
Yes. Okay. And I appreciate that. Thank you. Have a blessed evening. Tell your wife, make sure she increases your allowance.
I'm gonna let her know. Stephanie, I need more allowance.
Yo, Brian, tell her cryptocurrency.
Crypto. It in cash. I got it.
Buy you one or two, and then share the allowance with Joanne, so she'll be Dr. Brian, so she'll be happy.
No, I'm gonna give her a donation. I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Enjoy your night.
Take care.
God bless.
Take care. Bye.
It's very interesting, John. The criminal justice and mental health, they kind of go together when you really think about it, because a lot of the individuals who are committing crimes, a lot of them are, not mentally stable.
Mm-hmm.
They I don't know. We all have that moment when we say, I wish I could, right? I think we all have that moment. I wish I could.
I wish I could just mute you sometimes.
Whatever it is. But I think something a little more violent, right? But I think we are mentally stable not to carry that out.
That's
right?
true.
You get what I'm saying? But a lot of people can't understand their own triggers to say, I can't, this is not right.
Right.
Right. This is not right. This is it. And also sometimes, to be honest with you, with all this political correctness, right? Sometimes all with the political correctness, you can't really tell somebody really, yo, you need to get some help and say it, or you are being that's verbal abuse, or no, you need to get some help. So Joanne, I'll go down the list and then
oh my God, this list, Lord have mercy.
Right. So number one is the spouse. Number one
for relationship killer.
Yes. A spouse being bad with money. We agree with that.
That was not number one. I want to see that. Where you found
it? Is number. Go check our doc. Number two, couples stop loving each other. Number three, the other party having some personal problems.
Ooh.
Lack of love. That applies to Joanne.
Wait. Lack of love? That's what you said?
No, the other party having personal problems.
As you can see, I'm not saying anything.
Right.
Wait. Other party having what?
Personal problems.
Who has the personal problem? You? You talking about you?
I'm talking about you. Lack of love and affection. I think that one my wife would say. Lack of sexual intercourse. Not that one. Lack of communication. Addictions, abuse, money issue.
Talk too much.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Abuse is hold on. You know what's last on the list?
What's that? Infidelity? Is that what you're saying?
Last, dead last. Infidelity and cheating is dead last on the list.
Well, because
And number one is
you know
money.
why?
Why?
Because no longer can you file divorce for infidelity.
That's not true.
It's true.
Adultery,
It's
of course
true,
you
it's
can.
true, it's true.
That could be
It's
grounds for
called irreconcilable
difference.
That's what they replaced it with. But infidelity, how it was listed on a divorce thing, they don't do it no more.
Okay. So I got to tell my wife that.
Villagers, as you can say, me and Andre, we don't engage in such.
You know, I have an issue,
foolishness.
right? I have an issue. Though. I know we were talking about the idea was for relationship building, but Joanne, you know, changed it. But I have a question with
Wait.
Yeah.
I changed it.
Yeah,
Which
you
the
changed
first thing you talked about?
I was trying to say what the purpose of the conversation was about since the beginning of the year. How do we build?
No, but your focus was, this is what destroys a marriage.
No, I was saying so. So the point of the comment was we look at the negative, right? We look at the negative, work from the negative to the positive.
That's
so therefore, if we know that these things destroy marriages, so if you're looking forward to getting married, then number one, you need to start working on the money.
What about people who don't want to get married again?
We're in relationship. People who are in relationship.
You're talking about marriage.
Well, yes. Okay, so I'll say if you want to build a relationship.
Okay.
All right. So if you want to build these are the negative, these are the pitfalls, right? So you know, you somebody's bad with money. So you have to have the money conversation. And part of that money conversation is getting a job. So if some of us are from a culture where the man makes the money.
Or
no, I said some of us are from a culture. I didn't say not or anything. It's some of us are from a culture. Okay, you don't need to be so defensive because we know, especially West Indian women, especially West Indian women, they believe that the men. So it especially not all. Nothing is ever all. Anything I say is not 100%. So a lot of West Indian women believe, right? Believe that the man's money is my money and my money is my money.
I think that's old-fashioned West Indian.
It might be old-fashioned, but it's a reality, right? So now you have a new age situation where men are saying, where is your income? What are you doing? And so if both parties, if a man feels that way too, because you have what do you call them, gigolos, right? If men feel that way, then they have to change that perspective as well. Relationship, money is the number one cause of pure bad relationship. It's number one. It's money. So if you want to avoid the money conversation, then you have to have the serious talk about the money, right?
So you're gonna ask that on your first date?
What?
Yo, what's your income? Yeah.
No.
So when are you gonna bring up the money situation?
When you decide you're gonna become serious. The first date is that you're not serious in your who's serious in their first date?
I don't know.
when the relationship is building, you need to ask the question.
So let me ask you: if the relationship is building and you realize that individual doesn't carry or is not bringing enough to your liking to the table, what are you gonna do? And the relationship is serious.
You move on. You know why?
Okay.
You move on from that because in general, people, the things that irks you at the beginning is going to irk you at the end.
So you're a gold digger. You're a gold digger.
Well, you can be again, remember what I said. You need to bring to the table what you're asking for. So you can't make $40,000 a year and say, I want somebody who makes 80. You're not on equal yoke. The Bible speaks of uneven yoke. So if you're bringing something to the table, if what you're asking for in a relationship, right? If you're a bad spender, don't try to correct me on a good spender. So don't call me frugal because you're a bad spender.
I
Well,
want
just
to
as you can
your
see,
wife.
I'm staying
Yeah.
out of this
But it's not
topic.
about
for
saying-
longer
I
than-
want to
Right?
hear your wife's perspective about what irks her. Is it your mouth?
No,
Is it your
okay, can we talk about relationship building? Okay, relationship building. Yes,
Well,
Doc.
I want to talk about finances.
Right. So that's not what we're talking about. We're just his money's out money. What does that mean? His money's out money, Simone.
You meant to say our
No,
money.
it's out. Right. No, it's not. Jerome said no, it's not. Right. See, that's a problem, right? Black women look at us as weak. That's interesting. What do you mean by that? And Simone writes, what did Simone write? Hold on, let's go back. Simone writes, Andre, can you help me with these comments? That is because we weren't taught the proper way of dealing with money. What does that mean by that? I don't know what that means. Jerome, just go through them for me, please, so we can get it up. I'm trying to, right. So the number one thing and that's a real conversation, right? The other thing is when I met my wife, Garcia, right? When I met my wife, Garcia, I was immediately physically attracted to her. That was immediate, right? Huh?
We look on physical first.
Right. I was physically attracted to her. That physical attraction hasn't changed, but right. I do look at finances, and she looked at finances, but she didn't marry me for money, and I didn't marry her for money. But I definitely wasn't going to marry somebody who I had to support. They're not my children. You get what I'm saying? And also, I wasn't marrying somebody who
3 minutes till the end of the show.
Right? I wasn't marrying somebody who I know I couldn't support, like somebody who's materialistic. If you're materialistic and she's materialistic, then we're good to go. But if you're materialistic and she's not, it's not good to go, and vice versa. But if the both of you, you do what you really need, loving each other. The question is, why did you start to love each other in the first place? So when you look at it, you ask that question. Why did you start loving each other?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, I really wish you guys were a little bit more supportive. I really wish you guys were a little bit more supportive of this conversation. I'm not saying. It's funny because
you're saying that I'm not supportive. I just wanted to know what made you start loving your wife. You said the physical attraction was
the conversation.
The conversation.
The conversation.
That
So
is
conversation.
Key. Conversation is key, ladies and gentlemen. Conversation.
Right.
Communication, conversation.
Conversation was important,
Build
right?
on that.
And you know what else I loved about my wife when I met her at the onset? We were both into the same things, right? Almost not all the same thing. But
are you preparing for Valentine's Day? Is that what you're doing?
Why you guys? Why you guys, Josh? You know what? Right? Listen. How much time we have?
30 seconds. Can you put the
wait, let me hold on, Doc. Yes, Doc, please speak to his wife. The next one. Yeah, how to handle money and budget. Let's laugh. Okay. Simone, you had the last comment. What's that? Further, some of us parents had bad money management, so how could they teach?
Thank you for joining us.
Good point. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, watching, hearing, viewing, sharing the village right here on YouTube at the Village Talk Show, and on Facebook at Roderick F. Daly, John L. Sampson, Simone Bryan, Andre Doman, and Sophia Willisey. Also, please like our page, the Village Talk Show, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with other people. We're on the Village. We're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, starting from today. Success is not just spoken, it is done. God bless you. See you next week.
Good night.
And happy birthday to everyone who I didn't get a chance to say happy birthday to. But happy birthday, because I know that you included me and my 50th.
Realizing our dream at any age,
and everybody
any point,
just cut me off.
starting from today, day, success.